Welcome and get ready for a front row seat on Icons with Ava Johanna, the live show that is raising the bar in the entertainment space worldwide. You're about to be right in the middle of heart-pounding conversations and real-time connection that ignite transformation within. Our global live show stars the industry's powerhouses, visionaries, and cultural icons. Together, we'll walk the path of legendary entrepreneurs, influential business moguls, celebrities, and iconic brand architects. Join the conversation, seize the opportunity to engage directly with icons of their industries, and immerse yourself in an unparalleled learning experience. Icons isn't just a show. It's an opportunity to step into the minds and hearts of industry leaders and run with their advice. So grab your popcorn because this is the space where icons are born. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. What a week it has been. I feel like I just have my own Good Morning America show because I have had the pleasure of having so many epic women on the podcast this week. And I got to be honest, when we booked this interview, I was so giddy. I was so excited because it has been a hot minute since I've seen my girl, Ashley Gordon. She is the founder of QCA. She is a powerhouse coach and facilitator, has been doing this for a long time, and now has been training coaches over the years to be able to really create phenomenal coaching experiences for their clients to jump into the coaching industry and really pursue a meaningful career. She's also epic at sales. She's epic at marketing. She's epic at branding. I mean, there's really not much that this girl can't do. And that is why it was a no-brainer for me to have her on the podcast. Yet again, I think this might be the second time, maybe even second or third time, because Ashley came on the Alchemized Life back in 2020, I want to say, which is bonkers. We've known each other since then, which is so cool.
That's so cool.
It's crazy, right? And now we get to partner together for the Vision Board Life Bundle. And so that was another reason why I wanted to have Ashley on the show, just so you could just get a taste of her magic and why she is somebody in the space that I massively respect. So Ashley, thank you so much for coming on and for being a part of this amazing podcast space.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I feel so honored and special to be on Icon. Let's go. Does this mean I'm an icon now?
Exactly. Yes.
So good.
So good. Yes. So like I said, I mean, we first met in 2020 when we did a podcast swap, and I feel like that's when our love story began. And
Yeah.
as with many relationships in the online space, it's like you ebb and you flow and you talk a lot and then you kind of lose touch and then come back together. And so I'm
Yeah.
so excited that you're here because I feel like there's just so many new things going on in your world, and also the staples that have been tried and true and are really what you are known for within the coaching space and why people love you, which is Quantum Coaching Academy, of course. And so I would love for anybody that's newer to either Icons or new to you, for you to just share a little bit about what you do, who you are,
Yeah.
and a little bit of what we can expect from this conversation today.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love how you explained that because it's so true how relationships ebb and flow. And I feel like we just understand that and we're like, we could just pick right up where we left off. And I respect and love those relationships so much because they're like unattached and not needy and like just we get each other. And I just love that. So I just wanted to say that. A little bit about me. I founded the Quantum Coaching Academy in 2019 when I saw this massive gap in the coaching industry. And I realized, and I'm sure you realize this as well, everyone's talking about marketing and sales and business strategy and all of these wonderful things that we need to build and grow and scale businesses. And I'm like, why is nobody talking about how to facilitate transformation? Why is nobody talking about the craft of coaching and the embodiment work and the somatic work and all of the things that actually get your clients to have a full-blown transformative experience? And that's when the download came through of you're supposed to create a coaching certification that is going to help people with the confidence that they need to look someone in the face and know that they can help them change their lives. And so that's where QCA was born. And it's been quite the evolution from 2020 till now, 2024. And we're on our ninth cohort of the program. And it's just evolved so much along the way. But I'm really passionate about helping coaches that are stepping into the industry or finding that like calling, that brand new calling. And you probably remember that first whisper and tug within your heart and soul that was like, you're meant to help people change their lives. And I am so passionate about helping those people step into really owning their craft and being world class at it.
This is one of the most important conversations, especially now, I think,
Mm,
as over these last few years, so many people have entered the coaching space for us to be having, because it is so true that there's a lot of shiny object syndrome on like this one thing: money mastery, mindset, finances, sales, whatever it might be, that, or content, whatever it might be, that I think is really easy for people to grasp and say, oh, once I get that, then I will have a successful business. But in truth, your business isn't going to be successful if you can't get your people results. Your business isn't going to be successful
period.
if you don't have anybody coming back, if you don't get any testimonials, if you're not getting any client referrals. Like, your reputation is your success. And reputation isn't built from a pretty Instagram post. It's built through the relationships and the facilitation.
It's so true because I don't know about you, but in the beginning, when I was learning all the things about how to coach and how to facilitate and how to lead, my clients were just telling people about me. They were just like, oh my gosh, you have to work with Ashley. Like, and then this person told that person. And then I attracted someone who was high up in a network marketing company, doTERRA, the oil company. And she's like, I want to hire you to coach my whole team. And it was very word of mouth. And that's how my business started. So it's kind of ironic how and iconic how really like getting to do what I do now is really full circle to actually how I started because I always started with the passion for like really helping people get results.
Yeah, I love this. So for you, when you decided to create QCA, and also like maybe even a little bit before then, with coaching specifically and like client experience and like the facilitation piece, what do you think like was the biggest piece missing that you either were able to identify in coaches that you were working with and clients that you were working with, or as people started coming into QCA that were maybe already established coaches that they didn't necessarily have these skills?
That's a really good question. And the answer, part of our framework inside of QCA is helping your clients release, rewire, and receive. And what I found was really missing was either the release or the rewire part. So with a lot of clients coming in, they would just have their clients do affirmations and they're like, just say I'm good enough 10 times in a row and you'll do it, or create these money mantras and like that's what's going to be the thing. But what about all the money beliefs that needed to be released before they could rewire in order to get what they want? So having really powerful tools to help our students work with their clients on releasing at an identity level, the belief systems that were blocking them from really getting what they want, and then being able to have tools to rewire the energy, rewire the neural pathways in their brain to be able to receive something brand new. Because if we don't release, then we can't rewire. And if we are only focused on rewiring, we're not releasing. And so people are like, nothing's changing. I'm not getting the results that I want. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Totally. Yeah, I think that that's such a good point. And one of my biggest frustrations when I started getting into coaching, mostly working with other people, was
Yeah.
that it feel very much just like, oh, just focus on this thing. And it's frustrating because you'll focus on do the thing, you'll take the
Yeah.
exact formula that they say, but you're still having these negative thoughts, or you're still noticing this resistance or this fear or this self-doubt. And it almost feels like you're trying to put a band-aid on like an
Mm-hmm.
open wound that needs
Whoa.
much more than just a band-aid.
100%. Yeah. And it's so much more than just telling someone, do this or do that. Like people know most of the time what to do, and there's a reason why they're not doing it, So it's like going deeper with your clients and being able to like know how to do that.
What do you think the future of like facilitation, the coaching industry, and space holding looks like?
Ooh. I think it's leaning more into the somatics, it's leaning more into the body. It's leaning more into releasing from the body, um, and embodiment work. I think embodiment work is the future of coaching and healing and really feeling safe to express yourself in the world. It's all in the body.
Mm.
What do you think?
Well, I feel like now that you said that, I'm in the perfect place.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that, I speak from experience and what I see with my own clients that the embodiment work really takes so much of the mindset work to the next level. I think that you need both, right? Like what I
Yes.
what I see is a lot of people get too far into somatics and too much into embodiment that they stop focusing on the mind altogether and almost get like
Mm,
lost in feeling, lost in the body. Um,
interesting.
and sometimes that comes up as like getting lost in like shadow work and getting lost
Yeah.
in like inner child work, which isn't to say that that's a bad thing, but there is a need to create forward momentum if you want to create a new identity or new levels of success for yourself in whatever area of life. And so I think that it's from the coach's perspective, knowing how to balance and use these tools in the right way and like having the discipline
Mm,
of like, when do I use somatics or when do I use NLP or when do I use
yes,
EFT or something like that, where it's like I
totally.
have a toolkit and I know how to use each of the tools.
Okay, so now I want to change my answer because I completely agree with that. I feel like the future is honing your art because I think it is an art. You know, it's like really being so masterful at being like this paintbrush for this and this color for that. And it is like all the tools in the toolbox. And one of the biggest questions we always get at the beginning of Quantum Coaching Academy when students come in is like, well, I'm learning all these tools, but how will I know when to use NLP or how will I know when to use breathwork or how will I know when to use time techniques or whatever? And that comes with the fine tuning of your listening, you know, being able to really hone your listening skills. And I think listening can get really washed over in coaching where you're like, oh, yeah, yeah, I got to listen. I got to listen. I'm a coach. But there's so many levels of listening and so many layers to it and so much work to be around listening and where you're listening from and what you're hearing and how to insert your tool as needed, you know, is really powerful to know how to do that in your art.
I, I want to go through all of this because I'm like, there's just so many questions I have. The first I would say is outside of listening, what else do you think contributes to somebody really being able to like hone their art as a facilitator outside of listening and outside of just like getting your reps in? Is there anything else that you've noticed for yourself that has like really made an impact?
Do you mean specifically when you're working with a client or in your
Yeah.
leadership in general?
Yeah, I think when you're working with a client, what have been the biggest things that
Mhm.
you've noticed like over the years where you're like, wow, like I have really elevated as a coach and like I see the work that I'm doing is so different than it was,
Mhm.
a year ago or 3 years ago.
It's really funny because I feel like it's going to sound so simple, but for me, it's really taking all of my assumptions away and being able to just have them really get the answers for themselves, like to point them to their own discovery always and lean on that more than anything. Not to discard my intuition as a coach, but to trust that the intuition is going to guide me to the right question or the tools for them to figure it out for themselves because I just have been proven over and over and over again that when I am like, "Oh, I feel like this is coming through for you specifically." It's never really that. It's always something else. Like
Mm.
sometimes it's that, but it's more powerful for them to figure it out for themselves and it'll have a different flavor, even if
Mm.
it is the same thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I think it's like the empowerment that comes with them being able to find that is something
Hmm.
that sticks with them for a lifetime, right? Like the best coaches are
Totally.
the ones that at the end of the container of working together, like the client doesn't need you anymore. Sure, they love you.
Yeah.
Sure, they want you in their life. Yeah, they might re-sign with you because they don't want to do life without you, but it's not from a place of need. It's from a place of desire. And I think
Yeah.
that's what every coach should strive for, is being able to empower your clients in that way. So I love that answer.
What's your answer for that? I'm curious if you have one.
Yeah, I think that the experience piece is like the biggest influence on your ability to discern what to use and when to use it, is just
Yeah.
like having the experience and like working with lots of different clients. I know that it's helped me understand what to do and what not to do. Like you said, like
Hmm.
when to lean into my intuition or when to really create the space for my client to excavate on their own.
Yeah.
Um, I think that that's the biggest thing. And even if it looks like, in the beginning, charging a couple $100s for a lot of access, I'm so glad that I did that, because
Yep.
it was that first year of coaching for me. I was working with so many people, had such a full schedule, and I learned so much from it. And then the other thing
Same.
is, what's that?
Same.
Yeah, I learned a lot from it. I think the other thing is like that's been really fascinating to me, that I've always kind of done, but as I started training in NLP, learned that there were like actual words for it and
Hmm.
practices for it. But looking at the way that people speak and like language patterns and communication patterns, and understanding the importance of rapport being something
Yeah.
that is a make or break in a coaching relationship. And I think that that's one of the biggest things that a lot of beginner coaches don't think about, or like maybe get nervous and excited and kind of like bypass, is like, oh, like this is a relationship at its core. It's not just like, here, let me tell you what to do and let me give you advice.
Right.
It's let me understand who you are. Let me understand how you perceive the world, and let me meet you there, not so that I'm not holding the image of what can be, but just so that I can create a sense of trust with you, so that you will let your walls down. Because I do think that, especially working like with other coaches, there's a lot of ego in this space. And so
Mhm.
in order to get beyond the ego, you have to have trust and relationship there.
That's so powerful. I'm so glad you said that. I feel like rapport is one of those things that everyone kind of knows, but they don't actually know how deep it goes, because if you don't have it, you literally can't go deep with someone because you don't have that intimacy and trust in the relationship. So it's so key. So key.
Yeah.
I'm really glad you said that.
Yeah, so I think that that also goes back to my initial questions around listening. So you mentioned there's like so many different layers to listening,
Mhm.
and we do have so many coaches that listen to this podcast. What are you, when you say like there's like listening, but then there's all of these other layers of listening, can you kind of like
Yeah.
define what like typical listening is versus like what like we should strive for as coaches?
Yeah. So typical listening is we listen to respond, right? We listen to share what we think about something or to relate. And it's so natural to want to do that because that's how we build connection in life, is relatability. And oh my God, you went through that. I went through that. And that is the opposite of what we do as coaches, is we don't necessarily want to relate in our coaching sessions, because let's just say I'm coaching Ava and she's telling me something that she's moving through and it's really deep and it means a lot to her. And then I'm like, oh my goodness, that literally just happened to me as well. And I start taking away from everything she just shared, and it completely invalidates. And you don't mean to invalidate in that moment. As a coach, you're trying to help, but sometimes we just don't know any better. And so in that moment, we actually want to validate without our own personal experience. Our personal experience and our own stories and our own expertise, all of that's really powerful for marketing, sharing your stories and letting people connect to you in that way so they get to know you. But we don't actually bring that into the coaching relationship. So the layer of listening that you kind of want to strive for or practice, I would say it's more of a practice, is one, objective listening, which is just hearing every single word that is coming out of your client's mouth without thinking about what are you going to say or what questions am I going to ask or what tool am I going to use, or you're just simply being with the client in the present moment. I have a quote that I love, and it's in the now, you'll know how. So when you're in the now, you're going to know how to facilitate. You're going to know what to say. You're going to know how to say it. You're going to know exactly what they need. And it's going to be more powerful than if you're thinking about how to respond. So that's one layer. And pause me at any point. And then the next layer is more about, and that's objective versus subjective, right? Subjective is responding from your opinion. And then it's intuitive heart listening. So when you're intuitive heart listening, you're going a little bit deeper. You're opening up your channel of intuition, your higher coach energy, big coach energy, and you're allowing source to come through you. And you're trusting that you're listening from your heart space. And it's a more compassionate, loving listening. It feels very comforting to the client. It feels like a hug with your energy without saying anything. And that's when you are really holding like deep space for your clients and really allowing them to come undone in your energy and in your session, in your container. There's more. There's meta listening too, which is connecting, but like you're listening for different verbal cues that the clients are saying. So listening for limiting beliefs, listening for limiting thoughts, listening for parts. So in NLP, there's all these different parts of ourselves. When a client says, a part of me feels this way and a part of me feels that way, you're listening for, maybe there's a parts integration that could happen there. And so you're listening on these different layers that's allowing you to like bring the tools in later. There's also this listening for, in meta listening, it's like when you hear a client constantly saying, I really think I need to quit my job, or I really think I need to leave this relationship, or I think this, or I think that. You can question that and say, well, I hear that you're saying I think a lot. What would your heart tell you to do? Or what do you know about this? So you're trying to help them access other parts of their being, their soul, their heart, their higher self, their inner knowing. And so you can play with that too. If you constantly hear a client saying, I feel this or I feel that. Okay, well, what do you think about that then? Right? So you're switching it up a little bit just to access different parts of them that they wouldn't normally. I'll pause there.
This is so good. I feel like any coaches that are listening, like this, take notes, like
Take
pause.
notes. It's so fun. I love this shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so great. And, like we were talking about at the beginning of this, like this is really important stuff. And I think a lot of people go into coaching just like I've had life experiences or I want to help people, but don't actually have proper training in it. And I know that sometimes that can be a little bit of a polarizing topic online, like, oh, you don't
I
need a
know.
certification or you should get a certification. And at the end of the day, like you are working with people's psyche, you're working with their emotions, you're working with their past, with their future. Some people are coming in with unknown mental health issues that you might not have asked about. So it is really, really important to have proper training in place so that you're not doing more harm than good. And so people are also, for lack of better terms, getting their money's worth and like not just
Totally.
going into a talking conversation with someone who's a couple years older than them, but like really being with somebody who knows how to properly facilitate transformation.
It's so true. And like when someone says that to me, like, oh, do I need a certification? Do I not? You said it so beautifully. And I would add, it's not about certification or not. Certification means shit. It's a piece of paper, right? It's you need the skills and the tools to move someone forward. Like that's it, period. You need to be equipped. If you're not, like, that's the question to ask yourself. If you're not, then get what you need. I mean, that's why Ava's here. That's why I'm here. You know, that it's all here for you. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
I love
big
this.
topic.
It really is. And I think, again, it's like as this industry continues to grow, I think it's something that needs to be continued to talk about too. Like there's an integrity piece and I feel
Yeah.
I feel responsible. I know that you do as well too, because it's not like we just entered the coaching world. Like we've been in this for a hot minute. And so it's up to us to continue this conversation and have these talks about the importance of this work because all it's going to do is make your experiences better. And like the way that I see it is when you focus on client experience, when you focus on facilitation and space holding, that's how you're going to start to see, oh my God, my clients are Voxering me and they just had this amazing breakthrough. And look at all these incredible screenshots that I asked permission for that I can now share, and like testimonials. Like
So
your
true.
marketing and your sales is going to skyrocket when you focus on client experience, when you get obsessed with your clients' results.
That's literally my marketing message. It's so true.
And
It's
I'm like, you know what? These are the things that we should be focusing on. So, okay, so I'm curious. I want to switch gears a little bit because
yeah.
I guess it's not switching gears. It's more just like following this trail. So you're a coach, you're certified, you have an amazing client experience, and now you're ready to go out into the world and start working with people. And I find that a lot of times people do get the experience and
Mm-hmm.
the modalities, but then they're like, I don't know what to do. And with the Vision Board Life Bundle, you're adding in your magnetic sales mastery, big coach sales, big coach sales,
Yes. Big coach energy,
energy and close.
something.
Big coach
Yes.
closer, I think. Big closer energy. That's what it is.
Yes. Big closer energy. We changed it to magnetic sales mastery because people were like, what's big closer energy? I'm like, it's so obvious.
I get it. I get it. So let's talk about that because I think that it's
Yeah.
so powerful to not just be like, here's how you do it, but also here's how you get people in the door and like create a business that is profitable. So for you transitioning or not transitioning, but having QCA, but then also having these other programs that are really supporting those next steps, what does magnetic sales mastery mean and how can
Yes.
to incorporate that or think about that into their businesses?
Love that. So it means big closer energy. It means being able to attract the people that you want to have and want to serve in your business. And so for me, one of the biggest things that I struggled with in the beginning is messaging. I had no idea how to message to people. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't get it. I'm like, align your life, create your life on purpose. I will help you manifest your dreams. And very high level, very conceptual. And then one day I learned what messaging was. And I had one of my friends come to me and she was like, Ashley, let's look at this let's look at this line, align your life, create your life on purpose. Let's chunk it down. And I'm like, okay. And so in this course, I really make it simple for people to create messaging and positioning, like in really bite-size, yummy little nuggets to just understand it and move with it. Because once you get messaging, you can't unsee it. So she takes this line, and I'm like telling a story and sharing what the course is about at the same time. But she takes this line and she's like, what about you're the girl who goes into TJ Maxx and buys every I think I can journal. Like I believed I could journals, but never writes in them because you don't even know how to actually set intentions that manifest. Right. And I was like, I literally do that, or I used to do that. And she took like the high conceptual like word like sentence and chunked it down to something that someone would read and be like, oh my God, Ashley's literally talking to me right now. She's in my head speaking to me. And it blew my mind because I just didn't know how to message. Do you remember that moment where when you learned messaging in your business?
Oh my God, yes. I mean, I still have to practice when I'm speaking or when I'm writing out content of like, no, Ava, you're a
Yeah.
little bit too out there right now. Like,
Yeah.
take a moment, yeah. And it's so crazy because, you know, we all talk about like attraction marketing and like having a hot audience. And one of my good friends out here in Austin, M. Haas, is incredible at content marketing. And so she's helped me a lot with messaging and content just by simply watching what she does and how she speaks. And it's like
Yeah.
when your messaging, when you read it or when your soulmate client reads it, should feel like, holy shit,
I feel seen.
I feel seen. I feel like I feel called out. I feel seen. I
Yeah.
feel somebody like, is she a fly on the wall in my house? Is she hacking my phone? Is she like spying on me at dinner? That's like the energy that you want to bring into it. And I think that a lot of people get scared to do that because it can sometimes feel
Limiting.
limiting or isolating, where it's like, oh, but that's what if this person doesn't uh
Mhm.
identify with that? Or what if, like one of my clients might identify that with that, but another soulmate client I have didn't do that. So I'm curious, like when you think about messaging and like maybe that hesitation or fear that people have, what is your feedback or your advice for that person?
I'm glad you're bringing that up because I definitely felt that way in the beginning, especially with niching and all of that. I think when it comes to messaging, it's really important to be very clear with who you're speaking to because the person that you're attracting is is the person that you want to be calling in. And so if someone isn't resonating with that, I could pretty much guarantee that they're not your person. So just know that, like, I find that with QCA, even our marketing, our messaging, our sale, our website, our sales pages, all of it, it brings in a very specific energy. It brings in a very specific person. And it makes sense for what we're putting out. So I think the fear is totally valid. And also, there might be more fear if like you just call in anyone and everyone because they might
Yeah.
not be your ideal person.
Right. I can attest to that. Like there have been moments with the Academy of Breath where we're like, okay, let's like make it a little bit softer, like make it more for like people who are just starting out or like more towards this audience or just a little bit more broad. And those are always the times where we get the wrong people inside.
Mm,
What ends up happening? Either it dilutes the experience for the right people or this person ends up being a pain in the ass down the line. And so I am way more aligned with getting the right people in the door. And it doesn't even mean that it's less people, right? It just is
right.
like right people.
The right people. Yeah. I think it's easy to kind of cut yourself off and be like, well, not everybody's going to resonate with this. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing because it's a crapshoot out there sometimes. You never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, I did an AOB IRL event in February and
Ooh.
held it out here in Austin, and some people flew in and some people drove in, and I looked around the room and it was like such a fun party. It's so different than just like breath work. I'm like
Oh
wearing
yeah.
this like big puffy dress that's like pink and blue and
Love it.
orange. Like we've got neon lights and disco balls, and I'm like, this is so different than like 99.9% of other breathwork spaces. But when I look around and look at the women in this room, like these are my people. These are women
Hmm.
that we're going to go get cocktails after this because like
Yeah.
I want to hang out with them. And ultimately that's because I was like, my brand needs to look like this. I need to be able to say this. I need to be able to speak to the right person or the person that I want to be able to support. And since doing that, it has felt so good
Oh,
to
I'm so
be in
glad.
the program. Yeah. So a big lesson for everybody. Don't speak to everybody.
Yeah, and you're making up the rules, right? Like you get to make up the rules. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I have to be like this color because it's breathwork or that or that. Like it could be fucking anything. Disco balls, bright colors. Like, let's go.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that, and that's like, and I think that goes back to like also as it relates to like the rules piece is like it's your business and you want it to be sustainable for you. Otherwise, you're not going to want to do it and it's going to
Totally.
fizzle out or you're going to have resentment towards it. I'm curious when you, oh, go ahead.
And that's the magnetic piece too, right? Like doing it your way and messaging your way and talking to your people. That's the magnetism part.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask about that. I was going to say, I'm curious about the energy piece of sales for you and what you've
Mhm.
really seen to be super impactful in your like sales process, but then also with your clients. Because for me, I know that everything changed when I started focusing on energy, but sometimes people are like, well, what does that actually mean? So could you
Yeah.
break down a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, I would love to hear your answer first to like get me going. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think you said it perfectly, where it's like when I'm tapped into the
Mm.
message to the brand and I'm excited about it because I have permission to be all that I want to be, then the energy in which I show up is very different than if I'm playing by the rules of somebody else. Or like, when I
Hmm.
was with AOB, it was like when it was like sage green and
Yeah, I
beige.
remember those
Yeah,
days.
the beginner days. It's like it was still a successful
It was
program.
beautiful.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's beautiful, but it wasn't evolving with me. And that's where it started to feel a little bit like, okay, something's got to give. And then once we did that big rebrand and made it more in alignment with me and my personal brand, that's when I was like, oh my God, I fucking love this program. And it just like it literally breathed life back.
Mm. It literally breathed life back into you. I love that so much. I'm going to speak from last year. I felt like I was at this plateau, and it was definitely an energy plateau. And I felt like I was having the same launches over and over again. And they were big launches, like beautiful launches, beautiful humans coming in. Everything was status quo. And I was like, I know there's more. I know there's an expansion here. And I don't know what it is. And I don't know what it is. And I'm in the mind and I don't know what it is. And I don't know what it is. And I'm thinking about it and I'm trying to get it. And I can't seem to understand what is my block. Like, why am I blocking myself from more sales, more abundance, all the things? And I was in a breathwork session and I was laying there and I was breathing and I just started crying and moving. The energy started moving through me and it was just clear as day. I had been waiting for opportunities. I had been waiting for opportunities to come to me. And I was in this waiting energy and I didn't even realize it. Like I was waiting to be seen or waiting to be on this podcast or waiting for this person to want to be like all these things about around waiting. And the message that came through to me was, you are the one that you've been waiting for. Stop waiting for everybody else. Like you are it. Be it. You want to be seen, see yourself. And it was so profound and so powerful. And I left that session and went into my week. And that's when things started falling into place. And it was like the energy lifted and shifted and crazy shit started happening. And I attracted an amazing affiliate. And then we had the biggest launch ever. And it was just like, woo, we scaled very quickly. And it was all energetic. It was all getting out of the waiting energy. And it was wild because I just really didn't even know that I was in that energy until I did breath work.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, wow, I love that story. And I love that there's so many versions of that story. Like I think about um Catherine Zankina when she had her huge launch that was like a multi-million dollar launch. So much of it was not actually about anything that she did. It was about the energy that she was holding. And I know when we had our biggest AOB launch, it was like 48 hours in where I had to like really let go of the like energy of expectation and
Oh,
just let myself enjoy the process and celebrate and be grateful. And I think that that's why this magnetic sales mastery program is so powerful, is that like a lot of times we're so focused on like what more can I do, when at the core I feel like magnetism is less about what you do and more about who you are.
so true. It's so true. It's everything about who you are. Everything. And that is what I wanted to bring together in the program is I wanted to be like actual things that you can do that will make a difference and teach you some new skills as far as marketing and messaging and positioning and all of that. But it's also about your leadership, your magnetism, and actually being the magnet. And so there's a really powerful meditation in there that I actually still do. I love doing my own meditations. I don't know if you enjoy your own. Like my meditations are bomb.
I always
But
say it's my higher self talking to me.
yes. And it gives you exactly what you need. It's so cool. But there is a meditation in there called Become the Magnet, and it is potent AF. And it there's another exercise that I personally do when I'm in launch or calling in dream clients, and I sit and I expand out from my heart space. And I like with my breath, I breathe it out and I expand it out. And then when I breathe in, I'm still expanding it out, but at the same time, magnetizing those dream people to me. And it's very like visual, but more like energy. I don't know if it makes sense what I'm even saying. We kind of go through that in that meditation, and it works like a charm. It really does.
I love
It's my
that. Yeah.
my weird woo-woo shit that I love.
You need both, right? Like I spent the last couple hours working on Instagram posts that I looked up and I'm like, how has this taken me so long to pull together
Right?
these photos and this like educational post? What the fuck? But I'm like, after this interview, I'm gonna go meditate because I don't need to actually do anything else. I've done enough today. Now it's time for me to just like be in my own energy and let my frequency do the rest of the work.
Yes. I think that that is the reminder that everyone needs to hear today is that your frequency is going to be doing like most of the work. And it's funny because my phone broke Saturday and now it's Thursday and I have not had a phone since then. And like the universe was like, nah, like you're not going to get your phone. I went to the Apple store. They couldn't do my upgrade. Then I went to the T-Mobile store. They didn't have the 1 terabyte phone that I wanted. Then I ordered it. It was supposed to come yesterday. The order never went through. My credit card, I don't know, something didn't work. And I've been checked out and offline and just really tapped into myself and my frequency. And the magic that I have felt since then till now is just, it's wild how I feel so free. I feel so, I'm not even worried about not being online. I posted something today, but like I hadn't. I'm not even worried about it because I know that my frequency over the last week almost is doing way more than it would if I was like worried about posting every single day.
I feel like we need those moments from time to time to just like remember how powerful frequency is over
Hmm.
action. And it's like do both, of course, but remember that you are like a divine being. Like you are a source of who knows exactly what, but like the creative power that you have inside of you doesn't need to play by like logical rules and doesn't have to be
Mm,
like 1 + 1 = 2, you know, like there's something else going on inside of us. And we need these moments from time to time to just remember that it's so much bigger than we allow ourselves to see sometimes.
so much bigger. I'm leaning into that. You know, I'm leaning into just trusting that I'm supposed to be like looking up more and tuning in more. And everything's been so good because I was just like, I don't even care anymore about the phone. It's
Mm.
wild.
And that's when the phone is going to come.
Right, exactly. Always, 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 always.
Oh,
Um, but can I just say, like, looking through the Vision Board Life Bundle and looking at all of these creators and all of these amazing humans and the courses and the just the master classes, like, there's so much in here. I'm so excited.
yeah, it is badass. I mean,
I love
I
that you do this because I know it's a labor of love. I mean, like, it
such a
really
labor
is.
of love. Yeah.
It's a labor of love to do something like this. It's not easy to pull off. It's a lot of resources on the back end. And I mean, not 30 plus courses for $99 is unheard of. It's such a gift that you're giving people.
Yeah, and they're like really high quality courses too.
Hmm.
Like, it's not just like some bullshit or like an ebook. It's like not that an ebook has to be bullshit, but you know what I mean. It's not something that somebody threw together. None of these were things that anybody threw together over, you know, a week period or a day. Like this is
No.
true life work of people who I respect, who have the reputation and big relationships with their community and with their work. And yeah, I mean, I look at this bundle and I'm like, I'm so excited to learn from everybody because these are women that I look up to and women that I want to learn from.
Yeah, I'm so excited too to dive in because there's just every single topic. I'm like, yes. Oh, I need that. Oh my God, this one. Like, I love them all. They're so
Yeah,
good.
I know. And I was like, I really want it to be like every single area of life. I'm like, get someone in here for parenthood, get someone in here for
Yeah.
relationships, for
Oh,
health,
you
for
know,
fun.
I'll be diving into that parenthood course because we got
Yeah.
a toddler on our hands now and it's wild.
Oh, I mean, I can't even imagine. We got a puppy in January, and at first we
Oh,
were like, oh, we'll have kids next year. And after I got the puppy, I'm like, if this is what a puppy is, I don't know if I can do a kid in a year from now. There's no
you
way.
can. You can, I promise. It's so good.
I feel like two
I'll be
years.
there for
I'm like,
you.
the sleep deprivation from the puppy is only a month, and I have so many different friends who are like, you'll be sleep deprived for a while with the baby. So,
A little bit, a little bit. It's
well,
funny because like my son's been sleeping through the night now for a while, thankfully, since like 8 months and he's 18 months now.
that's amazing.
And like the other day he woke up at like 5 and I'm like, what the fuck? Like you get used to sleeping again and it's like, oh, you don't want to go back, but we'll do it again one day soon
Yeah, I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, maybe my first will be during your
with my
second.
second.
Yeah, we'll be right in line.
Yes, okay. I love that. I love that.
Uh,
Putting that on my vision board life
yeah,
bundle.
exactly. Me with a Photoshop little baby.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna be so, so beautiful pregnant. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, Ash, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I love you so much. And I just realized that my microphone is actually unplugged and is sitting.
Well, I've definitely done that.
Oh my gosh. Like
Oh
I
my
said,
God. You still sound great. You sound perfect.
that's awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear. I've been like slowly declining on my like podcasting skills over this week, but thank you so much for coming on Icons, and this has just been so much fun. So where can everybody find you? When's the next QCA round? And yeah, just drop all your spots that we
Yeah.
can connect with you on.
Awesome. If you want to learn more, what we'll do is I'll give you my free masterclass and you can put it in the show notes if that works. And you can learn more about QCA and more about what we discuss. We're starting the next round in July. So coming on up soon. And I'm on Instagram at thequantum.coach. And yeah, that's it.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, everybody definitely check out the show notes or the comments on YouTube to get the masterclass, to check out QCA, to follow Ashley. Definitely go give her a follow. And then, of course, grab the Vision Board Life bundle if you
Grab
want.
the Vision Board Life bundle. Duh.
It's a no-brainer, y'all. It's a
Thank you
no.
so much. This was fun.